Great. And I was going to ask if one of you would be so kind as to open us up with a prayer.
Sure.
Great.
I stop and breathe and know that there is only God. That God is absolutely everywhere present simultaneously. There is no time and no distance in God. It's all right here, right now. The power of God is flowing through each and every being, through every tree, every solar system, every cloud burst, all of it. That power, that energy, that is God. And so I know that right here and right now, this time that we share together is blessed because it is God. That it is good and very good. That we all are in the absolute best place of safety. I can feel myself be in that place of safety, knowing that that is the truth for each of us. And I absolutely give thanks for the divine unfolding, knowing that it is perfect in every way.
Mhm.
And we learn and grow and be a greater expression of who we are.
Mhm.
And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you.
That was perfect.
Thank you.
So Lynn sent me a message that said electricity blinked and the internet is out.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I welcome everyone else to join us as you can, and join us on the recording for this amazing exploration we get to do tonight around authenticity. And I'm going to ask for extra grace because I'm going to share my screen a few times and I don't yet have ad-free YouTube. But I'd like to start and acknowledge, so I actually read the newsletter or cruised through the newsletter. And so I'm going to reference what wonderful input we have from our community here in this newsletter. And we're going to begin with a song that Reverend Lynn talked about, which I've never heard before. It is a song, a Muppets song.
I love it.
That is sung by Kermit. It's not
Oh.
easy being green. And at first, Kermit is having a hard time being green, and later he embraces it. So here we go.
Nice. Are you going to share your screen?
Oh, I thought I did. Can you not see it?
No, we
Nope.
just see your
Uh-oh.
beautiful face.
All right, hang on. Hang on just a second. This is what I mean. All right, hang on. I thought I did share my screen. Share screen. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing. Are you
Okay, hang on
able
a
to
second.
enable it?
I am. More. I just got to figure out where.
I should have called you in advance and worked through that. Otherwise we can just we can move on, but I have a few more things to share as we go through the evening.
You should be able to go now.
All right, let me try it.
I need to go in and set it up so that it automatically goes that way.
All right. Rewind. Here we go. Can you all see it now?
Yes.
Yep. There he is. He's so cute. We can't hear it though.
You can't hear it
No,
at all?
no.
Boy, I have the speakers at 96. Hang on. Huh.
Sometimes, can you hear it?
No.
Sometimes I have a different setting to have vocals in Zoom than I do just when I'm sitting at my computer. It's a different setting. Uh-oh.
Well, sorry about that. We will, so I stopped my share, right? Stop sharing. Okay, so Diane, I'll have to figure that out later. What did you say? It was in settings?
Yeah, there's a different setting. If I didn't knew off the top of my head, I could.
That's okay. Well, I have one more thing I was going to share, and if it works, it works. Oh, I have two more things to share, but one of them doesn't have sound. Okay, so anyway, he's singing about it's not easy being green, you know, and that just related in a humorous way to our topic of authenticity and how we can be in that, oh, it's not easy being me, it's not easy being me, and then coming around to embrace ourselves. And so that's the idea. And let's begin with the science of mind teaching, which is that we are each individualized expressions of infinite intelligence, divine love of God, right? And I loved what Susan Gonzalez put in the newsletter, because so the individualized expressions of God, that's the truth of it, and that's the ideal, but it isn't always how we live. So here's what Susan wrote. She talked about nature, and she said, nature has no judgment of itself. It just is. It compares itself to no other aspect of nature. It lives, moves, and is in the divine mind. I am nature and strive to be without comparison of any other aspect of nature, to be free to be me in every way. Nature's aspiration for authenticity is its full expression. So I love that spiritual truth. And then the third aspect I want to presence in our overall context came from the Vista conference, and it was either Reverend Karen Fry or Dr. Petra Weldis. It might have been Petra. And she spoke of embracing ourselves as spirit humans. And she says we often refer to ourselves as spiritual beings living, human experience, but that it kind of discounts some of the human element, and that this embraces our humanity and all its flaws, right? It's all its perfection and its flaws, excuse me. So living as spirit humans, I just love that. So next, Kevin referenced our entering spring, and it's a time that Kevin reminds us is of the renewal of the season, right? And so it's perfect because he writes, in the same principle of renewal of self, one simply needs to embrace the growth and forward movement to activate the changes within that create a renewal on the outer side of our personal life. And he speaks of creating a world fueled by acceptance and love. And so I thought that was a perfect place to start our exploration of authenticity, creating a renewal of self as we enter spring, and ultimately entering an experience of self and bringing up our beingness into the world that is fueled by that acceptance and love. This month, Science of Mind and Centers for Spiritual Living communities around the world are exploring authenticity. I'll start with 3 quotes. The first is by Brené Brown. Are you all familiar with Brené Brown? Have you? Okay. Well, in shortcut, she's a professor at one of the universities in Houston, and she writes about vulnerability. She's some kind of psychology or human development professor, but she writes about authenticity and says writes about vulnerability and authenticity. And she says, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. And isn't that really the crux, like letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are? I mean, it was just perfect. And Debbie Ford, I don't know if y'all have heard of Debbie Ford, any, okay, yes. Well, yes and no. So Debbie Ford was on the self-development circuit for many years. And she wrote about embracing our shadow self. I think her book was called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And so again, it's about embracing that perfection and imperfection. And she writes, the greatest act of courage is to be and to own all of who you are, without apology, without excuses, without masks to cover the truth of who you are. And the final quote, I read it somewhere and I loved it at the time, and then it was in the newsletter. It was by Albert. Oh, the newsletter was just perfect. I was like, I want to bring all this together. There's so much greatness in here. So thank you, everybody. So Albert Einstein, everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. Isn't that, yes. Yeah. So just a few thoughts. Cultivating authenticity is not about becoming something other than who you are. Rather, it involves us releasing those patterns of thought, attitudes, and actions that act as barriers to standing in our own personal truth and power. And by taking up this practice, we develop courage to be vulnerable and to stand in our truth, or in that truth, our truth. So there are times and situations like Debbie Ford talking about wearing masks. So the idea of masks is our changing or hiding who we are to protect our heart and emotions, hiding what we think and feel from others because we want to be accepted and belong. And ultimately that keeps our light from being seen. So it's like bringing a candle into a room and then covering it up with a basket or something, you know. It's while it may seem to keep us safe, it becomes a problem when we do this so often that it becomes our identity. It can become our identity. And this keeps us from experiencing connection and intimacy. And so oftentimes we talk about intimacy, into me you see, into me you see. So it's about having the courage to be vulnerable and to drop our mask and let our light be seen and felt. And it's another piece in cultivating authenticity. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to play this song, but I think maybe all of you will be familiar with it. And Willetta talked about it in the newsletter. And so it just, brought me back. And it's, and so what it brought me back to, I didn't even realize where this song came from. It was the very first, it was this like the song that we sang at the very first CSL community I went to. And the song is, I love myself the way I am. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I should remember more. I just heard it. But that song apparently goes back to the days of Louise Hay. Louise Hay, really famous in the CSL movement. And it's like known as her theme song. And so back in the 1980s, when there was a huge AIDS crisis, and there were so many communities of people who were gay, who were closeted, who were like just totally distraught from keeping like who they really were hidden for fear that their families wouldn't accept them. In a lot of cases that was true, and that when they had AIDS, then it came out. And Louise Hay she convened these meetings for the gay community of what was called hay rides. And so those of us who were in person at the Dallas Vista conference had the pleasure of hearing Reverend David Alt do one of the keynote speeches. And he belonged to this singing group called Alliance, or The Alliance. And I was going to play that song for you because it's like this really cool video of David Alt and the other members of Alliance, like back then, like singing the song. But I mean, I can try it and see let me try it and see if it'll play. And if it doesn't play, then I have to learn for next time how to get it to play.
Well, it could be something on my end I need to learn how to do too. So.
Whoops, hang on. Can you guys hear this at all? Can you hear it at all or no?
No,
No? All right. Well, I need to learn how to do it, but
Well, you can, if you want, go to where it says mute and hit on the little arrow. And then see what happens if you select the other speaker option.
I
Sometimes when,
go to something on an arrow.
yeah, it's so,
Anyway, I'll have to do it in practice next time, but anyway, so you guys couldn't see it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but that was the intention. And audience listening to this, recording, I'll do a practice next time. So I can share some really cool stuff and we'll learn how to do it. But that's what it's about, right? I love myself the way I am, right? Like just bringing that back to the present time. So several articles, welcome Kevin. Several articles in the newsletter this month all spoke of how our authentic self can get clouded over by cultural and societal norms and expectations, educational and religious institutions, family, peer pressure, the media. And so the question becomes, how do we know who we are? How do we really know who we are, right? So Reverend Jeff in the newsletter spoke of the importance of meditation and journaling to let our thoughts flow clearly and to help us discover our passions, joys, and a strong sense of self. And when we follow what feels joyful, we get more in tune with our soul's desire. And this is the essence of God that is responding to our deepest authentic self and bringing our full energy into the world. So the practice of mindfulness can help with being in the present moment with total awareness. And so I got this next section, a lot of the information from a source called Yogapedia. And I also have a handout I can send to everybody later of 8 in the moment techniques to cultivate a mindfulness practice. So I can send it out through Sue Ellen to send to everybody. But so each of us has this inherent quality, but we don't necessarily use it, the quality of being in the present moment with total awareness. And it's when we're not being true to ourselves that we need it the most. So when we have a heightened awareness of who we are, we can be that much more conscious of making sure that our sense of self is a clear one. And that means we are willing to be very honest with ourselves so that if or when we're about to slip into being someone we're not, which can be anything from people-pleasing tendencies or being afraid to show our true self for fear of not being loved or accepted, we can immediately note it and bring our focus and awareness right back to the self that is the most real and sincere. And we often don't realize like just how often we slip out of present moment awareness of the authentic self. And then before we know it, we can feel frustrated, we can feel depleted. And that's because we've been presenting a less genuine part of ourselves to others, often not consciously. And it becomes like as if we're playing a role, which can happen when we feel self-conscious or insecure in situations. And by practicing mindful, what the article suggests is that by practicing mindfulness consistently, we're able to become that much more cognizant of when we're about to throw our authentic self under the bus, right? And stop ourselves from doing it. So again, I will send out the tips. But here are some suggestions. It starts with advocating for ourselves. And a good way to catch ourselves is to notice when we're feeling a sense of uncertainty, doubt, or fear, which is always an indicator that we might be susceptible to hiding or concealing our authentic self. And so uncertainty, doubt, or fear, whenever those feelings crop up, silently say something to yourself, such as I'm enough. I don't need to pretend. There's nothing for me to fear. It's okay to be who I really am. I am worthy of love. These are just a few suggestions. You may have others, but I really liked this. So now, at this point, I mentioned we were going to do some meditation and some journaling, and then a lot of the meditations were like around authentic self are much longer than we have time to do here. So this will be a shortened version of going into the silence and asking some questions to just get in touch with our authentic self. And then afterwards, I'm going to put on the screen, it's kind of a lot of questions, but I'm going to send these out afterwards for anybody who wants to do deeper contemplation. It's questions for contemplation around authenticity. And there's 12 questions, but I'm going to ask everybody to pick just 2 or 3 that particularly resonate with you this evening. And so coming out of the meditation, we'll just take some time. Oh, I should have actually, sorry guys, we kind of got into rolling with things. Does everybody have something to write on? And if not, why don't we just take a couple of minutes just to grab something to does everybody actually have something? And I can't, Kevin is moving, it's moving, his screen's moving very slowly, so I can't tell what's going on. He's good. All right. So does someone have a question? And no, okay. All right. Well, and during the meditation also, please feel free if you decide to go off camera, that's totally fine. If you're more comfortable just sitting off camera, please feel free to do however you feel the best. So, okay. So first I'll begin by just asking you to find a comfortable seated position. And to take a moment to do that. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. And I invite you to close your outer eyes and turn within to that inner knowing within. And feel yourself where you are right now. Invite yourself to be present in your meditation. Be aware of any sounds, feelings, thoughts, or sensations in your body, and simply observe them. Tell yourself it's okay to let everything and everyone go. And begin to focus your awareness on your breath. We'll begin with 3 deep breaths in and 3 deep breaths out. Continuing to focus on your breath and breathing in and out. Just note that if your mind begins to wander at any time, place your focus and awareness back onto your breath, which will always bring you back to the present moment. Continue following your breath in and out. Allowing yourself with each breath to go deeper and deeper within. And being gentle with yourself if your mind wanders, just to return your focus to the breath, bringing you back into the present moment. And as you continue breathing in and out, ask yourself silently, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Say silently, let my true self reveal who I am. Let my true self reveal who I am. Also say silently, let me realize love, acceptance, and non-judgment. Let me realize love, acceptance, and non-judgment. When you're ready, I invite you to bring your focus and awareness back to your body and gently open your eyes. Being aware that you are still in the moment of now and that there is no need to rush out of it. You're welcome to take a few extra minutes to transition out of your meditation. We are going to go into some time for journaling. And so feel free to write anything that came to you during this meditation. And then in a moment, I'm also going to put some questions for contemplation. I'll share my screen with those questions. And I invite you to pick one or two of those questions that have a particular energy for you this evening and to journal on those for a few minutes. I'm happy to send out all the questions later, but for right now, feel free to journal about anything from the meditation. And then I'll also share my screen with the questions for contemplation. And we'll take about 5 to 7 minutes for all that.
Can you make it bigger?
Let me see if I can. Hang on just a second. I'm looking for here's what I'll do.
Perfect.
Well,
Oh, that's right. We won't see all the questions.
no, but let me see if I can. That's okay. I'll start with some of them and then.
Okay, thank you. That makes it easier to read.
Yeah, and I can read some of them out loud too. So what messages have you received from family, friends, teachers, religion, the media about who they think you are? Are there people or situations where you find it difficult to be yourself? What are some ways you can practice self-compassion to bring your courage to those situations? What are your strengths? Are there situations where these strengths can support you when you may be struggling? What spiritual practices help you access your authentic self? How does authenticity look and feel to you? Are there areas in your life that you are aware of where you need to ask for what you want or set some limits with others' expectations? Are there ways you expect to be treated or would like to be treated by someone in your life? Are there areas where you feel that others have more control of your time or energy than you do? What ways can you draw or redefine a clearer boundary in those areas? What might be possible if you were to communicate your desires or limits you seek in a mindful way to a friend, family member, or colleague? What can you say to start that conversation? Are there parts of yourself, personality, intelligence, body, your way of being you wish you could change? What do you feel it says about you that you are not that way now? What would it feel like if you could be fully who you are in your own skin and own this your entire life and still feel accepted by others? And what are ways we can increase the value we give ourselves? Name at least 5 skills or talents you have. If you notice difficulties, start an inventory of all the ways you bring value, a gratitude list of all the things you can do. So just choose a couple, 1 or 2, something that particularly has energy for you. And I invite you to journal on it. How are y'all doing? Does anybody need a little more time, or can we go to a time of sharing? I'll stop sharing my screen. Well, your cat certainly wants to be in on this one. Would anyone like to share anything from our time together tonight, or anything that came up for you?
Sure, I can share something. So I thought the questions were very interesting, and I'm looking forward to getting the list to afford myself the opportunity for further contemplation. I thought that actually the first question was a good one. You know, have I ever asked my friends or my family or other people who they think I am? Yeah, I have, periodically in work, right? As part of performance reviews, they have you do that, but I have not done that in a very long time. And so, wow, I thought that was really a good question. For purposes of this evening, I chose to pick one of the questions that had as part of it, we'll do a gratitude list of all I do. So I thought I would just brainstorm that gratitude list of all the things I do and what I think I am. I don't know what other people think I am, but anyway, so that's what I did. It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Good. Lynn?
I'd like to, in the meditation, you asked, what, 2 questions in the meditation? What was the second question?
Yeah, well, the first question was who I am, who am I?
Mhm.
But then the other 2 were, let my true self reveal who I am. And then the third one was, let me realize love, acceptance, and non-judgment.
Okay. It was like a Twilight kind of thing. I mean, I was right there with it. And then as soon as you said, come out, it was gone.
It's okay.
Okay. I thought your list of questions afterward was pretty deep, and I would want to take each question individually by itself almost for a day to meditate and journal on it a day and spread it out over 2 weeks. So those are good questions because they look like most of them, the majority of them would take time to really honestly look at yourself and not run through them too quickly. I think to really get to a good place with it. But a simple one, I forget what number it was, 4 or 5, was, what do you do to bring yourself back to, the present moment or to center? And I've mentioned before my mantra that I've used for a long time that I learned. Anytime I feel kind of shifted off balance or something's going on around me that throws me off, or that doesn't even feel like the kind of frequency I want to be in, I immediately go into just inside. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth I am. And I say it 3 times. And and then just repeat that pattern as much as I need to. And I've done it so much now and worked with it from the source that I got it from, that it is one of these things that brings me back, and then it raises my energy, my frequency, and it makes me smile no matter what's going on around me. And really, I don't know, the sentence that wants to come out, it separates me from what's going on around me that wants to, keep me from being in that internal place that really is right now. And it has just been so powerful for me. So I keep a mantra. I used to have another one before that one, and it's almost like the other one served its purpose, and then this one came in, and it works so well.
And it's,
So I think
I
it's
am
good.
the light, I am the love, I am the truth, I am.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah, that's what it is. And as you sit with it and work with it, we are light. We are made of light of God, of source, and we are divine love. We're made from that love. And then I am the truth. We live so much in a world that doesn't want us to know really what the truth is about things, but there is an internal truth from source. And so once you work with it and start working with it and repeating it, and then you go into a feeling of each of the words and a vibration of each of the words. And so you say it 3 times, and then you end with I am that I am, and then just repeat it as much as you need to.
And then it ends with I am that I am after I am the truth I am, or are you saying?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth I am. You say that sentence 3 times and then end it again with I am that I am.
Huh.
That comes from a source, a lady named Blossom Goodchild from Australia.
Huh. Thank you. That's a great practice. Like in those moments where we notice that we're dealing with doubt or uncertainty or any of those.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you y'all that, and it wasn't all the questions. I left some out. They must have had 7 to 10 more questions about bringing up vulnerability. But a lot of the questions came from the material from Centers for Spiritual Living, and I just included them because I thought we might want to be able during this month to take a few questions and do different contemplation, do the journaling the meditation and journaling that Reverend Jeff had suggested from the newsletter. Anybody else have anything you'd like to share at all?
I noticed this morning, I'm going to go on the gratitude list thing. I noticed this morning when I put on my shoes that I was grateful that I learned how to tie my shoes. Now we learn how to tie our shoes when we're little, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. But I think when I tied them this morning, I'm going, oh my gosh, I learned how to tie my shoes. I am so glad that I learned how to tie my shoes. Now, is that being mindful in the center, what was going on in the moment? But it certainly was being grateful for something that I learned a long time ago. And I even know how to tie my shoes in more than one way.
I'm not sure I do yet.
I had my grandson teach me one way to tie my shoes. So,
Wow, that's cool. I just know how to do a double knot.
yeah.
That's the only additional thing I can do. You'll have to show us what that other method is sometime together.
It involves making 2 loops.
That's the one I don't know. I just know the other
You
one.
have 2 loops, and then you do the crossover, pull through, crossover, pull through.
Yeah, I need to do that hands-on.
So,
Yes, it's in the moment. Thank you, Sue Ellen. Kevin, you're unmuted. Did you have something to share?
was taking the time I was doing
Uh-oh.
You hear me? Sorry.
We
You're
can't
really
hear you.
breaking up.
We can't hear you. You might have to take your camera off for us to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Still breaking up.
Is that better?
Mm-mm,
Still breaking up?
mm-mm. Nope.
How's that?
Keep
Can you
talking.
hear me
It's
now?
a little bit better. Keep going.
Is that better?
A little bit better.
Okay. So in a nutshell, when I was doing the meditations,
We can't hear you, Kevin. It's still breaking up. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Closer to my Is that better?
We can't hear you. I'm sorry
Didn't
about
catch you
that.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you have storms happening or maybe.
It's all good. Some issues with Zoom.
Sorry about that. We hate to miss out on your contribution tonight. Sorry, Kevin. Well, thank you everybody for participating, and hopefully next time we will learn how to get the sound shared on some of these videos and the music. It would have been a lot better with that, but that's okay. So anyway, it will be an interesting who I am is powerful. Yes. And I heard you are a beautiful expression of divine love. I was like,
Nice.
cool. Yeah. Infinite potential and intelligence available to me as needed. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And one thing that you don't know, Kevin, because you came in afterwards, but we used your theme of renewal, and it was mentioned earlier in the broadcast. So thank you, everybody. I hope we'll all have a very fruitful exploration of our authentic selves, and I'll send to Sue Ellen and ask her to send out the questions for contemplation and the 8 in the moment techniques to cultivate mindful practice. Would anybody like to close us out? Oh, wait, what is it? Oh, yeah.
Donations.
I don't know how to do that. There's contributions, and I'm going to ask Sue Ellen to say how to do that.
Okay. So if you are going to contribute, you can do that by texting 405-337-9739. And do you remember what your word is?
Vision.
Good.
Is that right?
That's right.
All right. Or you can also
go to the website and
Yeah, that's what
contribute
I
there.
do. Thank you, Sue Ellen. Would anybody like to close us out with a prayer?
Sure,
Great, thank you, Diane.
absolutely. So I invite each of you to gently close your eyes. And as we pause in that moment, in this moment, we feel God. We feel God. And we are so grateful for this evening, for the sharing, the delight delightful sharing from Katie, and then the additional delightful sharing from many of our sage way showers in inner journey. But a beautiful exchange. It was full of authenticity, full of love, and full of God. For each of us expressed through God in every moment of every day, this life and beyond. And we are so grateful for that knowing, so grateful for the authenticity of God, and so grateful in the depth of that authenticity in each one of us. And I know that beyond this evening, we continue to know God, express God, and revel in our authenticity in our daily interactions and in our dreams. And I know that, and I see that for each one of us now, tonight, and tomorrow, and beyond. And again, we are grateful for God, grateful for this moment together, and grateful for life indeed. And together we all say, and
And
so
so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Diane. That was beautiful. It's
Ah.
exactly 7 o'clock.